I left them a little gift. 5,000 crickets. Let them play their serenade.
The ultrasound photo looked perfect. Too perfect, actually, now that I think about it. But at 7:30 on a Tuesday morning, with coffee still brewing and my wife Vanessa practically glowing with maternal pride, I wasn't exactly in detective mode. "Isn't it beautiful, Eli?" she whispered, tracing the grainy black and white image with her manicured finger. "Our little miracle." I'm Elliot Carver, 36 years old, and I run a small security tech business here in Millbrook, Maine. Nothing fancy, mostly installing alarm systems and cameras for local businesses. But the work's taught me to notice details, to spot things that don't quite add up. Unfortunately, love makes you stupid, and I've been married to Vanessa for 3 years of premium-grade stupidity. "It's amazing," I said, kissing her forehead. She smelled like expensive shampoo and lies, though I didn't know about the lies part yet. "When's the next appointment?" "Next week. Dr. Patterson wants to do more tests." She folded the ultrasound carefully, like it was made of gold leaf. "Eli, I know we talked about waiting, but with the baby coming, maybe we should think about getting a bigger place." It was the first red flag I should have caught. We lived in a perfectly good 3-bedroom Victorian that my grandfather left me. Plenty of room for a baby. But Vanessa had been dropping hints about her friend Colin's penthouse downtown, about how successful people lived in modern spaces. Dr. Colin Royce. Even his name sounded pretentious. He was some hotshot surgeon at Millbrook General, where Vanessa worked in the PR department. She'd mentioned him maybe 50 times in the past 2 months, always with this dreamy look that made my stomach clench. "Let's see how things go," I said, which was my diplomatic way of saying, "Heck no," without starting a fight before breakfast. Vanessa's smile flickered, but she recovered quickly. "Of course, honey. I'm just excited, you know? Everything's happening so fast." Fast was right. We'd been trying for a baby for over a year with no luck. Then suddenly, boom, pregnant. I'd been so relieved and happy that I didn't question the timing. Another mistake to add to my growing collection. After Vanessa left for work, I sat in my home office in the basement, staring at the ultrasound photo she'd left on my desk. Something nagged at me, but I couldn't put my finger on it. The image was crisp, professional. The baby looked perfectly formed for what Vanessa claimed was 8 weeks. On impulse, I snapped a photo with my phone and sent it to my sister Jenna with a message. "Guess who's going to be an aunt? Welcome to the family, little one." Jenna was a radiologist at Portland General, about an hour south of here. She'd been thrilled when Vanessa and I got married, always asking when we were going to give her a niece or nephew to spoil. This would make her day. My phone rang 10 minutes later. "Eli." Jenna's voice was tight, professional. "Where did you get this image?" "What do you mean? It's our ultrasound. Vanessa had the appointment yesterday." Treason. Long enough that I started to worry we'd been disconnected. "Jenna? Listen to me very carefully. That's not an ultrasound from any clinic in Maine. I can tell by the formatting, the measurement markers. This looks European, maybe German or Swiss. And Eli," she paused, "that's not an 8-week fetus. This is at least 20 weeks, maybe more." The basement suddenly felt cold. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying someone downloaded this image from somewhere else and printed it out. This isn't your baby, Eli. This isn't anybody's baby that Vanessa is carrying." The phone slipped in my suddenly sweaty hand. "That's impossible. She's been sick in the mornings. She's gained weight." "Morning sickness can be faked. Weight gain can be faked. Eli, I need you to listen to me. Don't tell Vanessa you spoke to me about this. Can you get me more information? The name of her doctor? The clinic where this was supposedly taken?" I felt like I was drowning. "Dr. Patterson," she said. "But Jenna, why would she?" "I don't know, but we're going to find out. Meet me tonight at Murphy's Pub, 7 o'clock. And Eli, don't do anything stupid until we talk." She hung up, leaving me staring at the ultrasound photo like it might suddenly make sense. My marriage had just gone from Lifetime movie to Stephen King novella, except the monsters were real and sleeping in my bed. I spent the rest of the day in a haze, installing a security system at the local hardware store, while my mind raced through possibilities. Maybe Jenna was wrong. Maybe there was some explanation. Maybe I was having the world's most elaborate nightmare. But deep down, in the part of my brain that noticed when alarm sensors were placed wrong or when camera angles didn't quite cover what they should, I knew she was right. The woman I'd loved for 3 years, the woman I'd married and trusted and planned a future with, was lying to me about the most fundamental thing possible. The question was why. Murphy's Pub was exactly the kind of place you'd expect in a Maine town like Millbrook. Dark wood, older locals nursing beers, and the kind of atmosphere where serious conversations could happen without interruption. Jenna was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth with a manila folder in front of her. My sister looked like a female version of me. Same dark hair, same stubborn jawline, same tendency to worry problems to death. She'd gotten the medical degree, though, while I'd gotten the suspicious nature and the ability to install cameras in places people didn't expect them. "Show me everything," she said without preamble. I slid into the booth across from her and pulled out my phone. "This is all I have." She said the appointment was at Dr. Patterson's clinic. Drawley opened her folder and spread out several printed pages.
I did some research today.
There's no Dr. Patterson practicing obstetrics in Millbrook. There's a Dr. Patterson who's a podiatrist and one who's a psychiatrist, but no baby doctors. Expelled I'd ordered tasted like sawdust. So where did she go yesterday? Remodeling. That's what we need to find out. Eli, I hate to ask this, but has Vanessa been acting differently lately? Asking for money? Being secretive about where she goes? I thought about it. Really thought about it for the first time. She's been working late a lot. Says the hospital's doing some big fundraising campaign, and the PR department is swamped. And she did ask for some cash last week. Said she wanted to pay for baby stuff without using credit cards. How much cash? Manslaughter. $500. It had seemed reasonable at the time. Now it felt like evidence. Jenna leaned forward. Eli, I think your wife is running some kind of con. The question is whether she's doing it alone or if she has help. Reek. Help like who? Like whoever gave her that ultrasound image. Someone with access to medical files. Someone who knows enough to make it look convincing to anyone who isn't a radiologist. Colin Royce's smug face flashed through my mind. There's this doctor she works with, Colin Royce. She mentions him a lot. Trolley, or obstetrics. Surgery, I think. Cardiac stuff. Jenna made a note. Surgeons have access to the hospital's imaging systems. They can pull up old files, print things out. It would be easy for him to find an ultrasound image and doctor it to look current. The pieces were starting to fit together in a way that made me sick. So what do I do? Confront her? Not yet. If she's running a con, confronting her too early will just make her change tactics. We need more evidence. Jenna closed her folder. Can you follow her tomorrow? See where she really goes? I can do better than that. The security tech business GPS tracker on her car. Set up some discreet surveillance. If she's lying about the pregnancy, she's probably lying about other things too. Be careful, Eli. If she's desperate enough to fake a pregnancy, there's no telling what else she might do. I drove home that night with my mind spinning. 3 years of marriage, and I'd never suspected Vanessa of being capable of something like this. But then again, the best cons work because the mark wants to believe the lie. Vanessa was already in bed when I got home, reading some pregnancy magazine with a serene smile on her face. The performance was perfect. Devoted wife, excited mother-to-be, picture of domestic bliss. How was your evening with Jenna? She asked without looking up. Good. She's excited about being an aunt. That's sweet. I should call her tomorrow. Maybe we can go shopping for baby things together. The casual way she said it, like she was planning to drag my sister deeper into the lie, made something cold settle in my chest. This wasn't just about money or attention. This was calculated, deliberate cruelty. That sounds nice, I said, and went to brush my teeth. In the bathroom mirror, I looked like a man who'd just discovered his whole life was built on quicksand. But I also looked like a man who was done being played for a fool. Tomorrow, the real investigation would begin. The GPS tracker was smaller than a matchbox and had a battery life of 2 weeks. I attached it to the undercarriage of Vanessa's Honda while she was in the shower, then went back inside to play the part of the devoted husband. "I was thinking," I said over breakfast, "maybe I should come to your next doctor's appointment. I feel bad that I missed the first one." Vanessa's coffee cup paused halfway to her lips. Just for a second, but I caught it. "Oh, honey, that's sweet. But Dr. Patterson is really busy. He barely has time for me, let alone both of us. Maybe when we get to the later appointments. When's the next one?" "Friday afternoon. Just a quick checkup, nothing exciting." I nodded and smiled, mentally noting that she'd just given me a specific time to track her movements. "Whatever you think is best." She kissed my forehead before leaving for work, and I watched from the window as she backed out of the driveway. My phone was already synced to the tracker's app. For the first time in days, I felt like I had some control over the situation. The morning was spent on legitimate work, installing cameras at a new restaurant downtown. But my mind was on the afternoon, on finding out where my wife really went when she claimed to be at doctor's appointments. At 2 o'clock, the tracker showed movement. Vanessa's car left the hospital parking lot and headed, not toward any medical facility in town. Instead, she drove to the Riverside district, the fancy part of Millbrook where the condos cost more than most people's houses. She parked outside the Millbrook Towers, a gleaming high-rise that housed the town's most successful professionals, the same building where Dr. Colin Royce lived. I sat in my truck 3 blocks away, watching the tracker's location remain stationary for 2 hours. When it finally moved, it went straight back to the hospital. That evening, Vanessa came home glowing with maternal joy. "How was the appointment?" I asked. "Wonderful. The baby's growing perfectly. Dr. Patterson says everything looks great." He was good. I had to give her that. The lie rolled off her tongue like she'd been practicing it. Maybe she had. "That's fantastic news," I said, and meant it, because now I knew exactly what kind of game she was playing, and I was ready to play it better. The next morning, I called my old friend Dave Morrison. Dave was an ex-cop who'd left the force after 20 years to start his own private investigation business. We'd known each other since high school, and he owed me a favor from when I'd installed his office security system for free. "I need help with a cheating spouse case," I told him over the phone. "Your spouse or someone else's?" "Mine." There was a pause. "Jesus, Eli, I'm sorry. What do you need?" "Surveillance equipment, the kind that's actually legal to use, and maybe some advice on how to document everything properly." "Come by this afternoon. We'll get you set up." Dave's office was in a strip mall between a dry cleaner and a tax preparation service. Not glamorous, but Dave had always been about function over form. He was waiting for me with a box of equipment that looked like it belonged in a spy movie. "Micro cameras, audio recorders, all admissible in court if you need them," he said. "But Eli, you sure you want to go down this road? Sometimes it's better not to know." "I already know. Now I need proof." He studied my face for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, here's what we're going to do." It was simple but thorough. Cameras in the common areas of the house, audio recorders in her car, and continued GPS tracking. Everything legal, everything documented, everything building toward the moment when I'd have enough evidence to confront her. But as Dave explained the equipment, a different idea started forming in my mind. Why just gather evidence when I could turn the tables completely? "Dave," I said, "what do you know about running a con?" He raised an eyebrow. "I know how to catch people running them. Why?" "Because I think it's time to give my wife a taste of her own medicine. Of a good con is that it uses the mark's own greed against them." Vanessa thought she was playing me, but she had no idea that I'd figured out her game. That gave me a massive advantage. Over the next few days, I played the part of the concerned husband while gathering intelligence. The audio recorder in her car picked up phone conversations with someone she called C, obviously Colin. The GPS tracker showed regular trips to his penthouse, and the cameras in our house caught her practicing facial expressions in the mirror, rehearsing the performance of pregnancy. But the real breakthrough came when I overheard a phone call she thought was private. The morning sickness act is getting old, she said to whoever was on the other end. How much longer do we have to keep this up? Just until we get the big money, came the reply. The voice was male, educated, arrogant. Once he agrees to buy the bigger house, we can stage a miscarriage and walk away clean. My blood went cold. They weren't just faking a pregnancy for attention or sympathy. They were planning to con me out of my house, the one thing of real value I owned. That night, I sat in my basement office, staring at the evidence I'd collected. Photos, audio recordings, GPS logs, enough to destroy Vanessa in any divorce proceeding. But simply exposing her felt too easy, too clean. She'd hurt me in the deepest way possible, and she deserved something more creative than just legal consequences. I picked up my phone and called Jenna. I need your help with something, I said, and it's going to require your medical expertise. What kind of help? The kind that turns the tables on someone who thinks they're smarter than everyone else. The plan I outlined to Jenna was elegant in its simplicity. If Vanessa wanted to play doctor, we'd give her a medical crisis she couldn't ignore. You want me to tell her what? Jenna asked. That there's something wrong with the ultrasound, something that requires immediate attention and a lot of money to fix. Eli, that's exactly what she's doing to me, except we're going to do it better. Jeff was quiet for a long moment. You know, if she's really faking this pregnancy, she's going to panic when a real doctor starts asking questions. That's the point. She'll have to choose between admitting the lie or doubling down. Either way, she loses. And if she doubles down, then we spring the trap. The next evening, I put the plan into motion. Vanessa was in the kitchen, making dinner and humming some song she'd probably heard at Colin's place. Honey, I said, trying to sound worried, I need to tell you something. I showed Jenna the ultrasound photo and she's concerned. Vanessa went very still. Concerned about what? She thinks she sees some abnormalities. Nothing definitive, but enough that she wants you to see a specialist immediately. Abnormalities. I'd rehearsed this part. Possible neural tube defects. She says it's hard to tell from the image quality, but it could be serious. She gave me the name of a specialist in Portland who can do more detailed scans. Vanessa's face went through several expressions: fear, confusion, calculation. But Dr. Patterson didn't mention anything. Jenna says sometimes these things don't show up clearly in early scans. She's probably overreacting, but she insists we get a second opinion. How much would that cost? And there it was. Not concern for the baby, not worry about the pregnancy, just the bottom line. How much money could she extract from this new crisis? She said around $5,000 for the full workup. But honey, if there's even a chance something's wrong. Simmons nodded slowly, and I could practically see the wheels turning in her head. Of course, we have to do what's best for the baby. I'll call tomorrow and set up the appointment. That night, she made 3 phone calls. Watching Jenna to be is $5,000. The night she made 3 phone calls based on website, and the night left to be a Smith. That night, she made 3 phone calls ultimately, and Mather stepped it up in the out there. I'll call tomorrow and set up the appointment. That night, she made 3 phone calls, 1 money. That night, she made 3 phone calls, 1 money. That night, she made 3 phone calls, 1 money. That night, she made 3 phone calls, 1. 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 That night 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 she made 3 phone calls, 1. That not best for the baby. She said around friends she made 3 phone calls from her car, all to Colin, all increasingly frantic. The audio recorder caught every word. He knows something, she said during the 3rd call. His sister is asking too many questions. Call down, Colin replied. We stick to the plan. If they want to pay for more tests, we let them. More money for us. Appointment. We'll handle it. I know people at Portland General. We can set something up. I smiled in the darkness of my basement office. They thought they were still in control, still pulling the strings. They had no idea that I was 3 steps ahead of them. The trap was set. Now all I had to do was wait for them to walk into it. The next few days were a masterclass in psychological warfare. Vanessa grew increasingly nervous as I pressed her about the specialist appointment, while I played the role of the worried husband to perfection. I called Portland General, I told her over breakfast. They can see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Her coffee cup rattled against the saucer. Tomorrow? That's very short notice. I explained the situation. They had a cancellation. I reached across the table and took her hand. Don't worry, honey. Everything's going to be fine. But Vanessa didn't look fine. She looked like a woman whose carefully constructed lie was about to collapse around her. That evening, she announced she was going out with her friend Tara for drinks. Are you sure that's safe? I asked. With the pregnancy and all? Just one drink. I need to relax before tomorrow. The GPS tracker followed her straight her 4th part of the inches. She confessed our great present, with GPS tracker, and then straight the faces. This start now she was just one drink. The GPS tracker followed her drinks for them. No whatever am I just follow them. The GPS tracker followed her drinks to fission to the chap. I stained that slowly GPS tracker followed her straight to Colin's penthouse. I'd had enough of the surveillance. It was time for some direct action. Colin Royce lived on the 15th floor of Millbrook Towers, in a corner unit that probably cost more than I made in 2 years. The building had decent security, but I'd been installing alarm systems for 15 years. I knew how to get around most of them. The parking garage was my way in. Service elevators, maintenance codes that never got changed, and a healthy dose of confidence got me to the 15th floor without anyone asking questions. I could hear voices through Colin's door, Vanessa's nervous chatter, and his smooth, condescending responses. They were planning their next move, figuring out how to handle the Portland General appointment. We can't let them actually do the tests, Vanessa was saying. What if they want to examine me? They won't. I'll call ahead. Tell them there was a scheduling error. We'll reschedule for next week. Then next week we'll reschedule again. Eventually they'll give up. In the meantime, we'll just one of them. In the meantime, we'll call them following in the tests. In the meantime, we'll thought out the Collins we're still doing there. They won't for them too closes. In the meantime, you play the worried mother. Ask for more money for private care, alternative treatments, whatever sounds believable. We can milk this for months. Assaulting I'd heard enough, but instead of confronting them, I did something better. I left a small gift outside Colin's door, a printed copy of every GPS log, every audio recording, every piece of evidence I'd collected over the past 2 weeks, along with a note. Game over. You have 24 hours to tell Eli the truth, or I will. A friend. Then I went home and waited. Vanessa came back around midnight, pale and shaken. She went straight to the bathroom and I heard her throwing up, but this time it wasn't an act. The next morning, she was quiet over breakfast. When I mentioned the Portland appointment, she just nodded. Actually, she said finally, I think I should go alone. This is all very stressful, and I don't want you to worry unnecessarily. Shell, are you sure? I want to be there for you. Maga, I'm sure. But she wasn't going to Portland General. The GPS tracker showed her car sitting in the hospital parking lot all afternoon. She was hiding, trying to figure out her next move. When she came home that evening, she had a story ready. The tests were inconclusive, she said. The doctor wants to wait another 2 weeks before doing anything more invasive. Terminated. What did he say about the abnormalities Jenna spotted? Discharged. He couldn't see them clearly either. He thinks it might just be the image quality. Lips, I nodded sympathetically while mentally preparing for the next phase of my plan. If Vanessa wanted to keep lying, I was going to make it as expensive as possible. You know what? I said. I don't trust this Portland doctor. I want to get a third opinion. There's a specialist in Boston who's supposed to be the best in the country. Mission's Vanessa's face went white. Boston? That would be very expensive. I don't care about the money. We're talking about our child. Eli, maybe we should wait. Trolley. No, I'm calling tomorrow. If there's even a chance something's wrong, we're going to the best doctor money can buy. That night, Vanessa made 7 phone calls to Colin, each one more panicked than the last. By the end of the week, I'd scheduled appointments with 3 different specialists, all requiring substantial deposits. Vanessa was trapped between admitting the lie or going deeper into debt to maintain it. But I wasn't done yet. The real confrontation was still coming, and I wanted to make sure it happened in front of the right audience. The Millbrook Community Center was hosting its annual charity auction on Saturday night, a black tie affair that drew every important person in town. Vanessa had been looking forward to it for months, seeing it as a chance to network and show off her pregnancy to our social circle. I made sure we had front row seats. The evening started normally enough. Vanessa wore a flowing dress that accentuated her fake pregnancy bump, accepting congratulations from friends and acquaintances with practiced grace. I played the proud husband, all smiles and handshakes. But I'd invited some special guests. Jenna arrived at 8 o'clock, looking professional in her doctor's best. She made a point of seeking us out during the cocktail hour. "Vanessa, how wonderful to see you," she said, embracing my wife with theatrical enthusiasm. "I've been so worried since Eli told me about the test results." Manslaughter's smile flickered. "Test results?" "From Portland General. The neural tube screening? Eli said there were some concerns." "Oh, that. It turned out to be nothing, just a false alarm." Jenna frowned. "That's strange. I called Dr. Martinez at Portland General yesterday to follow up, and he said you never showed up for your appointment." Menstrual. The color drained from Vanessa's face. Around us, conversations continued, but I could see people starting to notice the tension. "There must be some confusion," Vanessa said weakly. "Must be," Jenna agreed. "Although it's funny. I also called Dr. Patterson's office to get your medical records transferred, and they said they've never heard of you." Sickness. Now people were definitely listening. Mrs. Henderson from the bank, Tom Walsh, who ran the hardware store, 6 other pillars of Millbrook society were all within earshot. Vanessa looked like a deer in headlights. "Jenna, maybe we should discuss this privately." Millet. "Oh, there's no need for privacy," I said, standing up. "Everyone here has been so excited about our baby. They deserve to know the truth." Prejudice. "Eli, what are you doing?" Profitability. I pulled out my phone and opened the audio app where I'd saved the clearest recording of her conversation with Colin. "I'm sharing some interesting phone calls you've been making," I said, and pressed play. Vanessa's voice filled the immediate area. "The Morning Sickness Act is getting old. How much longer do we have to keep this up?" Premiership. The response was equally clear. "Just until we get the big money. Once he agrees to buy the bigger house, we can stage a miscarriage and walk away clean." Shoreline, the silence that followed was deafening. Everyone within 20 feet had stopped talking and was staring at us. "That's not," Vanessa started, but I wasn't finished. "There's more," I said, playing another clip. "This one's about the fake ultrasound." Her conversation with Colin about downloading European medical images played for everyone to hear. By the time it finished, we had drawn a crowd. Vanessa was shaking now. "Eli, please, let me explain." "Explain what? How you've been faking a pregnancy for 3 months? How you've been stealing money from me to pay for your affair with Dr. Royce? How you were planning to con me out of my house?" Relieved. The crowd was murmuring now, a low buzz of shock and disapproval. These were people who'd known me for years, who'd watched me grow up, who'd trusted and respected me, and they'd all been witness to Vanessa's performance over the past months. "It's not like that," she said desperately. "Colin and we're not having an affair." I pulled out my phone again. "Because I have GPS logs showing you visiting his penthouse every day this week, and photos of you entering and leaving his building." Mrs. Henderson gasped audibly. Tom Walsh shook his head in disgust. The social circle that Vanessa had been so eager to impress was now looking at her like she was something they'd scraped off their shoes. But the real surprise came when Dr. Colin Royce himself walked into the community center. He'd obviously come looking for Vanessa, probably to coordinate their next move. But when he saw the crowd gathered around us, when he heard his own voice playing from my phone speakers, he stopped dead in his tracks. "Colin!" Vanessa called out, relief flooding her voice. Tell them this is all a misunderstanding." Every head in the room turned to look at him. The great Dr. Royce, pillar of the medical community, caught red-handed in a con game. To his credit, he tried to bluff his way through it. "I don't know what this is about," he said, walking over with his best professional manner. "But I think there's been some kind of mistake." "The only mistake," I said, "was thinking you could outsmart someone who installs security systems for a living." I played the audio clip where he detailed their plan to con me out of my house. Then I showed the GPS logs, proving Vanessa's regular visits to his penthouse. Finally, I displayed the fake ultrasound alongside Jenna's analysis, proving it was downloaded from a European medical database. By the time I finished, Colin looked like he wanted to disappear through the floor. "This is ridiculous," he said weakly. "Even if Vanessa and I have been seeing each other, that doesn't prove anything about a pregnancy scam." "Actually," Jenna said, stepping forward, "it proves quite a lot. You see, I'm a radiologist, and when my brother showed me that ultrasound, I didn't just notice it was fake. I traced it back to its source." She pulled out a folder I hadn't seen before. This image was downloaded from the University of Zurich's medical database 3 months ago. The IP address traces back to Millbrook General Hospital, specifically to a terminal in the cardiac surgery department. Colin's face went ashen. "Your department, Dr. Royce." The crowd was getting restless now. These weren't just strangers watching a domestic dispute. These were friends, neighbors, people who'd been lied to and manipulated along with me. "You people are sick," said Mrs. Henderson. "Faking a pregnancy? What kind of monsters are you?" "I can't believe we threw you a baby shower," added Sarah Mitchell from the flower shop. "I spent $200 on gifts." Social pressure was mounting, but I wasn't done yet. The confrontation had served its purpose, publicly exposing the lie and destroying their reputations. But the real revenge was still to come. "Don't worry," I told the crowd. "Everyone who was conned by these two is going to get their money back. I'm making sure of that." Propelled to Vanessa and called to Vanessa and Colin, who were now standing together like cornered animals. "You have until Monday morning to return every penny you've stolen from me. Every fake medical bill, every cash request, every fraudulent expense. And then you're going to disappear from my life forever." "And if we don't?" Colin asked, trying to salvage some dignity. I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Then I turn all of this evidence over to the police, the medical board, and anyone else who might be interested in your little con game. Your choice." The crowd was dispersing now, people heading home with the biggest gossip story Millbrook had seen in years. Vanessa and Colin were left standing alone in the middle of the community center, their carefully constructed lie in ruins around them. But I still wasn't finished with them. The real revenge was just beginning. Monday morning came with the kind of crisp October air that makes you glad to be alive. I was certainly glad to be alive, and even gladder to be free of the lies that had been poisoning my marriage for months. Vanessa had spent the weekend at Colin's penthouse, a fact confirmed by my GPS tracker, which she still hadn't thought to look for. She'd left me 17 voicemails, each one more desperate than the last, begging me to talk this through like adults. But I was done talking. It was time for action. The first part of my revenge was already in motion. Dave Morrison had contacts at the state medical board, and they were very interested in a doctor who used hospital resources to commit fraud. Colin's medical license was about to come under serious scrutiny. The second part involved Vanessa's employer. Millbrook General Hospital took a dim view of employees who brought negative publicity to the institution. When I delivered my evidence to the hospital administrator, along with copies of the local newspaper's coverage of Saturday night's confrontation, Vanessa's career in public relations came to an abrupt end. But the third part, that was personal. I'd spent Sunday preparing, gathering materials, and setting up what Dave called the most elaborate, non-violent revenge scheme he'd ever seen. It was going to be beautiful. At 9 o'clock Monday morning, Vanessa finally came home. She looked haggard, desperate, like a woman who'd spent the weekend watching her entire life collapse. "Eli, please," she said as she walked into the kitchen where I was calmly eating breakfast. "We need to talk." "Nothing to talk about," I said without looking up from my newspaper. You have until noon to pack your things and get out. After that, the locks get changed. Throw me out. This is my home, too. Mistakenly looked at her. Actually, it's not. This house was my inheritance, remember? Your name isn't on the deed. Legally, you're just a guest who's overstayed her welcome. She sat down across from me, tears streaming down her face. Eli, I know I made mistakes, but we can work through this. I love you. You love my money. You love my house. You love the security I provided while you played house with Dr. Royce. But you don't love me. Not true, Vanessa. My voice was quiet, controlled. I have recordings of you laughing about how stupid I was. Recordings of you planning to steal my house and disappear. Don't insult my intelligence by pretending this was about love. She was quiet for a moment, and I could see her calculating, trying to figure out if there was any angle left to play. What about the money? She asked finally. The cash I borrowed for medical expenses. You mean the money you stole for your affair? I want every penny back by 5 o'clock today. I don't have it. Then you'd better find it, because if you don't, I'm filing charges for theft and fraud. And I'm sending copies of all my evidence to every newspaper between here and Boston. She left without another word. At noon, I changed the locks. At 1 o'clock, I started phase 4 of my revenge plan. Colin Royce's penthouse had a beautiful balcony that faced the town square. It also had a security system I'd installed 2 years ago, back when he was just another customer, instead of the man who'd helped destroy my marriage. I still had the access codes. Getting into his building was easy. I just waited for a resident to open the door and walked in like I belonged there. The elevator took me to the 15th floor, and my old access code still worked on his door. Colin wasn't home, but that was fine. I wasn't there to see him. I was there to redecorate. The boxes I'd brought contained 5,000 crickets, purchased from a reptile supply company. Crickets are harmless, but they're loud, they multiply quickly, and they're nearly impossible to get rid of once they've established themselves in a living space. I released them throughout Colin's penthouse, paying special attention to his bedroom, his kitchen, and his expensive sound system. Then I left a note on his pillow. Thanks for the memories. Enjoy the music. EC. Phase 5 took place at Millbrook General Hospital. I arrived during the lunch hour, when the parking lot was busy and people were coming and going. Colin's BMW was in its usual spot in the doctor's section, and it was about to become the centerpiece of my final statement. The magnetic signs I'd had printed were simple but effective. I sleep with married women on one side. Ask me about insurance fraud on the other. They attached to his car doors with satisfying metallic clicks. But the real masterpiece was the banner I stretched across his windshield. Dr. Colin Royce, Millbrook's most wanted bachelor and fraud artist. By the time I finished, a small crowd had gathered. Some people were taking pictures. Others were laughing. A few looked disgusted, but not at me. I was walking back to my truck when my phone rang. Eli? It was Vanessa, and she sounded panicked. Colin's been arrested. Has he? The board suspended his license pending investigation, and the hospital fired him, and someone destroyed his apartment with insects. Stiffness? That's terrible. All is your doing. I have no idea what you're talking about. I've been home all day, working on security system installations, which was technically true. I'd installed several new security cameras around town that morning, including one with a perfect view of Colin's car in the hospital parking lot. Eli, please. We're sorry. We made a mistake. Can't we just move on? We already have moved on, Vanessa. You moved on to Colin's place, and I've moved on to a life without liars. But what am I supposed to do? I don't have anywhere to go. That's my problem anymore. I up and drove home to my empty, peaceful house. At 6 o'clock that evening, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Colin Royce standing on my porch, looking like he'd been through a blender. His usually perfect hair was disheveled, his expensive suit was wrinkled, and he had the wild-eyed look of a man who'd spent the afternoon trying to catch crickets with a butterfly net. We need to talk, he said. No, we don't. I started to close the door, but he put his hand out to stop me. You've destroyed my life. You destroyed your own life when you decided to con me out of my house. I never meant for it to go this far. Vanessa said you were rich, that you wouldn't miss the money. So this was her idea? He realized his mistake immediately. No, you mean you're both lying sociopaths who deserve each other. I stepped back and gestured toward the street. Get off my property before I call the police. The crickets, Eli. You have to tell me how to get rid of the crickets. I smiled. Have you tried asking them nicely? That we left, muttering threats on. A man who'd lost his job, his reputation, and his apartment in one day wasn't in a position to threaten anyone. That night, I sat on my back porch with a beer, watching the sunset and listening to the blessed silence of my cricket-free home. My phone had been ringing all day, friends calling to check on me, neighbors offering support, even a few reporters wanting to interview me about the Millbrook medical fraud case. I'd ignored them all. The story would tell itself. Around 9 o'clock, Jenna called. So, she said, I hear Colin Royce's apartment is making some interesting sounds. Is it? I wouldn't know. And apparently someone decorated his car at the hospital. People these days. No respect for other people's property. She laughed. You know, I'm proud of you, Eli. A lot of men would have just gotten angry and done something stupid. But you turned it into an art form. I learned from the best. Remember when Tommy Morrison put shaving cream in your locker in high school? And I convinced the whole school he was afraid of girls because he'd never been kissed? Yeah, I remember. Revenge is a dish best served cold, but it tastes even better when it's served publicly. We talked for another hour, catching up on family gossip and laughing about the weekend's events. It felt good to laugh again, to remember what it was like to trust someone completely. After I hung up, I went inside and looked around my house. Really looked at it for the first time in months. Without Vanessa's constant demands for renovation and upgrading, it felt like home again. The old furniture my grandfather had left me, the books I'd collected over the years, the photographs of real memories instead of staged performances. This was my life, my real life. And it was pretty good. 3 weeks later, Millbrook had moved on to other gossip, but the consequences of Vanessa and Colin's con were still unfolding like ripples in a pond. Colin's medical license had been permanently revoked after the state board's investigation uncovered evidence of insurance fraud dating back 2 years. Apparently, I wasn't his first victim, just his most public one. He'd left town in the middle of the night, owing 3 months' rent on his penthouse and leaving behind an apartment that would probably never be completely cricket-free. Vanessa had tried to stay in Millbrook for a while, crashing with various friends and attempting to rebuild her reputation. But small towns have long memories, and being known as the woman who faked a pregnancy to steal her husband's house isn't the kind of reputation you recover from easily. She'd finally given up and moved back to her parents' place in New Jersey, but not before making one last attempt at reconciliation. I was in my basement office, working on a proposal for a new client, when she knocked on the door. It was a Thursday evening, cold enough that I could see her breath when I opened the door. Hello, Eli. She looked different, thinner, tired, like the past month had aged her years. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by a simple sweater and jeans. Even her hair was different, shorter and less styled. Vanessa, what do you want? To apologize, and to ask for a second chance. I leaned against the doorframe, not inviting her in. Go ahead. I know what I did was wrong. I know I hurt you in ways that can't be easily forgiven. But Eli, we had 3 good years together. Doesn't that count for something? We had 3 years where you had 3 years, where you were a better actress than I gave you credit for. Winced. That's not fair. I did love you, in my own way. Your own way involves stealing from me and planning to abandon me. That's not love, Vanessa. That's not even close to love. I was confused. Colin made me think. Colin didn't make you do anything. You chose to lie to me every day for 3 months. You chose to fake a pregnancy and steal my money. You chose to plan a con that would have left me homeless and broke. She was crying now, but they felt like real tears instead of the calculated performances I'd grown used to. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Fleming, I believe you're sorry. Sorry you got caught. That's not... She stopped herself, took a deep breath. Okay, maybe that's fair. Maybe I am sorry I got caught. But I'm also sorry I hurt you. And I'm sorry I threw away the best thing in my life for something that was never real. I studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation, for the tells I'd learned to recognize. But she just looked broken. It doesn't matter, I said finally. Sorry doesn't fix this. What would fix it? Nothing. Some things can't be fixed, Vanessa. Some betrayals are too deep, too complete. You didn't just cheat on me or lie to me. You tried to steal my entire life. So that's it? 3 years of marriage and you're just done? I was done the moment I found out about the fake pregnancy. Everything since then has just been cleanup. Crimson. She nodded slowly, like she'd expected this answer but had to try anyway. The divorce papers are being filed next week, I continued. You'll get served at your parents' house. Don't contest it, and this can all be over quickly. And if I do contest it, then I release the rest of the evidence I collected. The photos, the audio recordings, the financial records showing exactly how much money you stole. Right now, only Millbrook knows what you did. Contest the divorce, and the whole world will know. She was quiet for a long moment, processing the finality of it. I really did love you, she said softly. Maybe you did, but not enough to be honest with me. Not enough to choose me over Colin. Not enough to matter. Shed the door. Another word. Walking back to the rental car she'd driven up from New Jersey. I watched her drive away and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no regret. Just relief that this chapter of my life was finally closing. The next morning I had coffee with Dave at Murphy's Pub. So how does it feel? He asked, being Millbrook's most famous revenge artist. Honestly, it feels like justice. They tried to destroy my life, and instead, they destroyed their own. Trembling? Any regrets? I thought about it. I regret that I trusted her for so long. I regret that I didn't see through the lies earlier. But I don't regret how I handled it once I knew the truth. Because words getting around about what you did. I've had 3 people call me this week asking if you do consulting for other cheating spouse cases. I laughed. I think I'll stick to security systems. Less drama. More profitable, too, probably. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the morning crowd filter in and out of the pub. These were my people. The hardware store owner, the bank manager, the retired teacher who'd helped me with algebra in high school. They'd all been witness to Vanessa's lies, and they'd all seen justice served. You know what the best part is? I said finally. What's that? She thought she was so much smarter than me. She thought I was just some small-town guy who installed alarm systems and wouldn't know how to fight back. And instead, she picked a fight with someone who knows how to gather evidence, document everything, and use people's own actions against them. She brought a fake pregnancy to a surveillance expert fight. Dave raised his coffee cup. To underestimating your opponent. Manslaughter. To getting exactly what you deserve. Inked cups, and I felt a deep satisfaction settle over me. Not the bitter satisfaction of revenge, but the clean satisfaction of justice served and life moving forward. That afternoon, I got a call from the Millbrook Police Department. Detective Sarah Chen wanted to know if I'd be willing to testify in a case against Dr. Colin Royce. It turns out your ex-wife's boyfriend was running similar cons on at least 4 other families, she explained. Fake medical emergencies, fraudulent billing, insurance scams. Your evidence helped us connect the dots. Happy to help. There's something else. The district attorney wants to offer you a consulting position with the Fraud Investigation Unit. Part-time, good pay, and you'd be helping other people who've been victimized by similar scams. Write about it for about 2 seconds. When do I start? 6 months later, I was sitting in my basement office, now officially licensed as a private investigation business, reviewing case files for the DA's office when my phone rang. Eli, it's Jenna. I have some news. Good news or bad news? Good news. Great news, actually. I'm pregnant. Jenna, that's fantastic. When are you due? March. And Eli, this time, the ultrasound is real. I laughed, remembering the fake image that had started this whole adventure. I should hope so. You're the one taking it. Actually, that's not why I called. I wanted to ask you something. What's that? Would you be the baby's godfather? I can't think of anyone I'd trust more to protect my child from the liars and con artists of the world. I looked around my office, at the certificates on the wall, the case files on my desk, the photos of justice served and lives rebuilt. This was my life now, helping people, protecting the innocent, making sure that predators like Vanessa and Colin couldn't destroy other families the way they'd tried to destroy mine. I'd be honored, I said. And for the first time in years, I truly was. The fake pregnancy that was supposed to destroy my life had instead given me a new purpose. The con that was meant to steal my future had instead shown me what I was really capable of. Vanessa thought she was playing the ultimate game, but she never understood the most important rule. Never con a man who's better at the game than you are. In the end, she got exactly what she deserved. And so did I.